What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. This is Badzilla, and today I'm actually going to go through and take a look at some comments in my comment section, and I'm going to respond to them. So without any further ado, let us go right into it. Sir, what is time? Can you reply me? I want it urgently, please. So first of all, I apologize because I probably didn't get to it urgently since I'm just now answering it and the comment has been there for like 5 days. But let's talk about time, why don't we? Well, time does not exist, my friend. You're asking me what time is. Time is just a concept that we made up so that we can get use of it by, for example, scheduling things and also recording events with a very specific sequence. You can actually define time with anything that periodically repeats itself. For example, if I do this, you can actually count a unit of time between each time I bang my head, or bang my hand against the table. We decided that every time the sun comes overhead right on top of us, this is called midday. And when it comes back again to that same spot, which is 24 hours, for us is one day. So before humans existed, the concept of a day didn't really exist. We saw how the moon moves and how the sun moves, and based on that we decided to create a concept of time that will actually help us, like I said, manage events and things like that. So time exists and it doesn't exist at the same time. It is a very fascinating illusion, huge topic that we could talk about for hours. We also, if you notice, in our language in everyday life, we talk about our days and we say the past, the present, and the future. Kind of like there is a section between them. This is now, this is the future, and that is the past. It's like there is a line that separates between the two, or the three. But in reality, it is all a part of one long string that apparently has no end and has no beginning. It just keeps going on forever, like an arrow that you shot, and now no force can actually interact with it, and it just keeps going forever. I guess maybe it's a disappointing answer if you're looking for me to explain to you what time is, if it was like, a particle or something like that, but no. It's a property of the universe from a physics perspective, and it is a construct that we made up to manage events and schedule them and also record them. The next question is, but photons have no mass. How does it travel so fast? You must be a rapper, my friend. Well, Mr. Ahmed Zahid, let me tell you something. If something has a mass, it is difficult to accelerate it. And if it has a smaller mass, it's easier to accelerate it. So I'm not sure exactly what you mean by the question, but yeah, let's say there's an object and the mass of it keeps increasing, it becomes more difficult for it to gain speed, which is kind of intuitive and it makes sense. Something that's massive is difficult to speed it up and make it gain acceleration. You need more energy. A photon has absolutely no mass, and that makes it actually go with the speed limit for the universe that we know of, which is the speed of a photon, or the speed of light, according to Einstein. So when Einstein said E equals mc squared, see that m for the mass, if it actually increases, the E has to increase because you need more energy to speed the mass up because the mass has increased. And in fact, the existence of the mass is why nothing can actually get to the speed of light, because it has a mass. And I made a video on that and I'm gonna keep it right here, so if anyone is interested, you can actually check it out. You must be a physicist. Yes, I must be, but actually I am not. Yeah, I'm not a physicist. I do realize that 80% of the content I'm putting out is physics videos, and I might give some people the illusion that I'm a physicist, but actually my specialty and my degree is in engineering, which means I have to understand physics, of course, to be an engineer. I have a degree in engineering and not specifically like theoretical physics or something like that, but I happen to know how to make some nice and I think helpful animation with physics, and I also know how to explain it. And I think it's easier for me to make physics more interesting and accessible than engineering. Engineering is very cool, but explaining it is challenging. It's raw and it's very esoteric, and it's just less people can relate to engineering compared to physics, in my opinion. And yeah, that's the answer. So before we get to the next few comments, I would like to remind you of the series that I'm about to start on this channel, which you do not want to miss, because I am going to summarize this entire book, which is A Brief History of Time by the late Stephen Hawking. I already actually started making a summary, as you can see here with the yellow lines. We're going to summarize the whole series. I'm going to turn it from words into a video, and it's not going to be boring. In fact, I'm going to capture the spirit of the book itself, and I'm going to make it into a beautiful story about our knowledge and how it evolved from the time we thought that the Earth is flat and also mounted on a turtle into quantum mechanics and string theory and crazy things that we now know about the universe. It has been an amazing journey for humanity, of course. It's almost impossible. What we know now, if you meet someone from that time and you tell him something about it, he's going to tell you this is literary magic and you could be burned at the stake for devices like this, for what we do with devices like this today. But yeah, without going on a tangent, I'm going to summarize this book into a series, so subscribe to this channel and make sure you wait for that. I'm going to premiere, the first episode is going to be soon. I'm still working on it. I want to make it really special and I want to make it nice. And the other announcement is I started a second YouTube channel, which I discuss life, philosophy, and things like that. Link in the description. Next question, let's go. So, like I said, now we thought that the Earth is flat and mounted on a turtle. It is appropriate for the next question to be from Mr. Billy Nair. And Billy Nair says, I am a flat earther. I tried to follow along for a few seconds, but I got bored and decided that dropping a phone proves buoyancy, and that it is a lot less of a hassle to understand. So, gravity doesn't exist. Okay, so we got a few comments on this comment itself here. First of all, I used to contend with people who believe the Earth is flat or the flat Earth movement or whatever. I stopped doing that because I kind of, at some point, as I'm doing it, I realized that it's just a vortex that does not end, and you're not going to convince them, and they're also not going to convince you. So I'm going to let the people that argue for a flat Earth do it, and also the people that contend with them do it. I just got myself out of that crazy circle. But this comment is actually very interesting, and I respect you a lot, Mr. Billionaire. Believe whatever you want. It's a free world. As long as, if you're happy with that, great. But here's what I think. You see, this paradigm right here, this paradigm itself is why you believe the Earth is flat. Because what you said here in the comment is, I watched for a few seconds, then I got bored. And it's, I don't know, it's supposed to be you're watching something to learn it, and it might be something that you don't agree with. So if we got bored with learning, we'd just probably not learn anything. We get bored all the time. And then you said also, see, this paradigm right here is why you believe there's this flat, because you can't even, a lot of these people can't even finish or try to listen to comprehend what they are getting told. So I don't understand the hostility. You can continue to believe that the Earth is round, and you can continue to believe that the Earth is flat, but listen. You have to listen to the person in front of you and try to understand what they're saying. If you can't understand it, learn how to understand it. Yeah, this is just bad form. Dropping phones proves buoyancy. How does dropping phones prove buoyancy? If you finish the video, maybe you'll know that it doesn't actually prove buoyancy. And so gravity doesn't exist. Okay. I want to tell everyone what physicists mean by gravity doesn't exist. It doesn't mean, when they say gravity exists, or what is actually gravity. When we're dealing with science, we're not talking about absolute reality. So we're not saying that there is actually a force and it is a mysterious force that pulls it. No. You can watch the phone drop, and you can build a model of physics that describes this, and it has to be consistent and makes predictions. That is what we call gravity. Newton described it as forces between masses. That was his model. Einstein would say, well, it's the curvature of space-time, which makes the planets go in these geodesics or fall into these orbits, and we perceive it as a force. So it's cool. This buoyancy model, I looked at it. Buoyancy exists outside the model that you guys talk about, and it's simply not consistent. So it's okay. I'm not judging you. Yours is flat. Good. No problem. Good. Fine for you. Next question, let's go. Want to be friends? Yes, absolutely. I would love to be friends with you. Unfortunately, I am extremely introverted, and it's actually one of the reasons I decided to make videos like 3 years ago and put them on the internet, because it's actually very difficult to be in front of this lens and talk about it, the one-eyed monster. But it taught me a lot as soon as I got comfortable with it, made it easier for me to go out more, and dealing with people, it's usually easier. Now I can do better lectures, better performances, better everything, because of this is the decision I take 3 years ago. So yeah, to answer your questions, absolutely, we can become friends. Why not? So the last question here is from Mr. I'm gonna butcher his name, for sure. Shout out to all my viewers from India, by the way. Love you all, guys. Thank you so much for watching those videos and supporting the channel. But Mr. Balaji Padmanaban. Balaji Padmanaban, I think. Okay. He says, can Western science explain why opposite charges attract and like charges repel? Okay, good question. But first of all, why is it Western science? Why is it not just science? You know, the thing about science is it's by anyone for everyone. That means we can use the science of the Greeks if it was correct. We can use the science of anyone at any point of time. It's by anyone for everyone, of course. But yeah, let's get to the question. Why opposite charges attract and why do like charges repel? Oh well, that's a vortex, isn't it? So I'm very tempted to say it's just the way it is, and why questions sometimes are not very helpful for physics. For example, we don't need to know why this happens to understand how electrons work, and the evidence of that is that our understanding of electrons enabled you to watch this video that you're watching right now, evidently. But this is not to say these are bad questions and we should not ask them. This is just to say that I'm not sure where this goes with the research, but let's go and answer it. In quantum field theory, basically, this is very basic, but everything is made out of fields, okay? So there is something called a photon field, which is like a potential of existing photons throughout the whole universe. When two electrons come near each other, which are like in charge, a photon appears and it communicates to them to move away. When like charges appear, the photon exchange, the virtual particle exchange, happens in such a way that they move next to each other. I explained this and also in a video here. This is just a quick explanation of it, but basically a quantum photon appears and communicates to them to move away or attract each other. That's the answer from a quantum field theory point of view. So I hope that answers your question. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. I really hope you enjoyed this. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, how you would answer these questions, and ask more questions if you want to ask them, and maybe we'll do part 2 of this show. Don't forget that I'm gonna summarize the book, so subscribe to the channel and wait for that. I'm gonna premiere it soon. Thanks again for watching, and I will see you next time. Badzilla out.